Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today, I am taking a break from the Hack the Box stuff just because there's only one box left and it's super simple. So I wanted to give you guys some of the some different stuff, right? So one thing I see all the time, and I see this a lot with new cyber people, is I see when they get into a role, they're like, this would be awesome, but we don't have this tool, or this would be awesome, but we don't have this tool. And one thing I specifically built a entire industry, or not industry, excuse me, I did not build an industry. One thing I built an entire business on is being able to do this stuff without the tools. And it's because living off the land is everything. Because if I don't have a tool and I don't understand how to do it, you're going to struggle. So what I built here is I built a Windows IR Windows Incident Response playbook, and I built it with only 5 commands. That's it, 5 commands. And with these 5 commands, can you catch every single attack ever? No. But can you catch a lot of them? Yeah. And so we're going to talk about it. So first thing, I built it in Obsidian because I like Obsidian. I use Notion, I use Obsidian. People ask me all the time what I use. This is what I use. The other reason I built it in Obsidian is because Obsidian's widely accepted and Markdown's widely accepted in the industry. So these playbooks, when I build them, they go on the Patreon. So people on the Patreon will get access to this playbook. It'll be a post in there. They can download it and run it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first thing, I'm going to just show you kind of how I built it. And then I'm going to walk you through those 5 steps. And hopefully within 5 commands, takes 5 minutes maybe, you will be able to identify most attacks. So, and that sounds kind of scammy, but there's a lot of contextual information that you'll need to grab, and this will give you all that context, and then you need to piece it together and determine and escalate, right? This is just initial incident response. This is not full forensics. I'm not pretending that I have the secret of you run 5 commands and all of a sudden you can, do a full forensics investigation just on 5 commands. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying initial detection, okay? So what is this? It's a first look Windows, and yes, this is Windows only, triage you can run with built-in tools. So the biggest thing is built-in tools, right? You're not downloading anything else. You're not doing anything else, just built-in tools. It make a clear, contain, escalate, close decision in minutes while capturing evidence. So you're gathering everything you need to make a clear decision, right? Context, you're grabbing context. What is it not? It is not full forensics exam, not a replacement for EDR, and not permission to do this on people's machines. So who should use this? SOC analysts, incident responders, IT admins, all that stuff. So, and by the way, I built this out just so that it could be used for other people. If I had a playbook just for me, I wouldn't put all this extra stuff in here, but I want it to be user-friendly and people to be able to access it. So I'm going to give you guys 5. I want you guys to go and drop the 6th command in the comments of what you would add, any command that you always use when you're doing incident response, because there's always something that people go to. Everyone has a go-to, right? So when to use it? Ransomware suspected or confirmed on a host, and I'll put it in read-only mode so that way I can't click on stuff. So we have ransomware, high signal alert, user reports, acting weird, routine spot checks, all that stuff, right? So anytime something's weird. So prerequisites before you start, you have to be authorized. I say that because I get people all the time that say like, well, it's my buddy's computer or it's this. No, you have to have permission, right? Elevated PowerShell, run as admin. So running as admin is not required on all of them, but it will give you the best results. I'll just tell you that. The reason I say it's not required is you can get a lot of the stuff, but you'll be missing some context and or you'll get some alerts, but errors, but you can still do a lot of it. Network is stable, right? The reason the network has to be stable, you got to copy the outputs off the host. I will tell you, there have been, for people wondering why I'm doing this, like there have been real incidents that I've been a part of where you didn't have time to do a full forensic. Like you had to make a decision now and you didn't want to tip anybody off. You couldn't remote into the machine. You couldn't do, so all you really had was PowerShell or a shell of some sort. And you're like, oh crap, I don't know what to do because, and I've seen analysts do that, go, I always just click this button or I always just do this tool or whatever. And it's like, you can't use that because right now there's a specific use case that requires us to do something manual. That does happen. Like it's not unique. And if you're the person that can make that difference, you're the one that stands out. So keep that in mind. Your org's containment policy is handy, right? So you need to know who to escalate to, what to do next. Like you don't want to just do this and be like, yep, we have an incident. Now what, right? Like understand the process. So optional, these are optional. You don't have to have it, right? PowerShell works fine, but PowerShell 7 is optional, right? Ticket or case number. So I actually did not add it in here, but you can add, the reason I didn't add it in here is because I'm going to upload this, but like in some of my other Obsidian, I would have over here like cases, and then I would have up here properties or tags and things like that you can put in so that you can actually mark the case number. I would add that in here. If you're going to use Obsidian, you can use whatever you want, but adding any case notes and stuff like that is really nice because you'll be able to just put the results right in there. Okay. So how do you use it? There's two options. One, 10-minute triage. You just go boom, 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 boom. And go through them. Or this is the one I prefer if you know what you're doing. And that is, if you start to see an alert for beaconing, use the network check, right? Then process, then schedule test. If you see persistence, or if you get an alert thinking it's persistence, use the persistence check. Like stuff like that. Don't use what makes sense in the context. Some people, the alert is just my computer's acting weird. Okay, cool. Just go in order then, right? So you can just go wherever you want, and you can replace this if you are not using, if you're not using Obsidian, just replace this with the links of what you're doing, right? And that's why it's in here. So again, I wouldn't normally make this like commercial friendly where I would take these things out, but I leave it in there because you might want to name yours something different, or you might want to not use Obsidian and you might want to just reference something else, or maybe you already have these playbooks and you just want to use this, right? So then you have evidence handling, do this. So this is copy the command outputs into your case notes. You should have all this. You should know how to handle a proper case if you're doing it. If you're not, this is a great thing to learn, right? Go through the steps, add steps. This is a playbook. You can make it however you want. Maybe you have a different way of cataloging these. Maybe you don't use cases. Maybe you use something else, right? Decision gates. So if I see this, what's my threshold on this? And keep in mind, these can change. You can change this however you want. You can put everything in here if you want, right? So you could say, hey, if this happens, always contain. If this happens, always do this. If this happens, always do this, right? And so encoded PowerShell, if it's LOL bin, abuse, or malware in user write path, anytime that ever happens, automatically isolate the host, right? Collect artifacts and notify the lead. Beaconing to an unknown or known bad IP. Well, if it's unknown or bad, right, those are two very different things. So you have to have some context there, right? Repeated within 5 to 10 minutes, block the IOC, and then isolate the host, pull their DNS history, right? I don't necessarily agree with that one, meaning there has to be a lot more context about it, right? If it's an unknown IP, I don't think I would just block it after 5 minutes, but you get what I'm saying. Like, this is just a generic playbook, right? New persistence, if it's new, for sure, you want to go ahead and remove it, all that stuff. Unsigned, any confirmed hit, quarantine the file. No suspicious signals after all 5 steps, then nothing. You document your findings, you close it as a non-issue. Time budget, right? They're all 1 to 2 minutes, right? So don't sit there, and if it runs and it's running for 45 minutes, that's a problem. It's probably not working, right? So it's saying you're saying here, if anything is ransomware or anything like that, you want to go ahead and stop after right away. Some of this goes without saying, but you would be surprised at how many times things like this has happened. But if you see ransomware, regardless if you're using a playbook like this or anything else, if you see ransomware, don't just be like, well, I got to finish my playbook. Like, isolate that host and be done, and like stop it in its tracks, right? Killing a process before you capture its command line path. This is deleting persistence without noting the exact registry path. You see this a lot. You see people go straight to like contain or quarantine or something, and all you did was tip off the attacker, and you actually didn't gather any information. Make sure you have the information you need to actually prevent from coming back. And then handoff, depending on how your SOC runs. Some SOCs are tierless, some SOC are tiered, etc. Yo, what's going on, guys? Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys. One thing I gotta say is, throughout the years, the support I've had for this channel has been amazing. I know I can't dedicate as much time as I'd like to it, but I do want to point out, guys, the Patreon and the Discord in the link below are huge assets for you guys. The Discord has a ton of like-minded folks. The Patreon, I try to upload weekly. We have extra things like one-on-ones, resume reviews, interviews, mock interviews, things like that. They're definitely resources for you guys. So if you guys want to support the channel, if you guys want to help in any way, please check those out. I don't take sponsorships really at all. Actually, I don't know that I ever have. So with that said, it's the only way to support me. So I do really appreciate you guys. Don't feel obligated to do it. Just, I forget to mention it in every video, so I try to throw something in here now. I'm going to try to keep doing this so that you guys are aware of them. Also, please hit that like button and that sub button. It's the only way to continue the channel for growth, and hopefully we can keep getting things out there for you guys and hopefully keep educating everybody. So thanks, guys. Go ahead and set up your handoff here. So all that to be said, now we're down to the 5. So this is the 10-minute mark. Here's the 5 checklists. So first one, process check. So this is the whole playbook right here for this specific one. So the first one, you're going to check processes. Look for unsigned weird paths. This is the whole thing, right? So you copy this. I'm going to open my command line. You can see it here. I'm going to paste it. All right, you see all my processes, right? So 2 things you can do. 1, you should have a baseline. A baseline means you've already ran this on your golden image, right? Your machine that everybody's using, and you should know what's normal. You can run a compare really fast and say what's new since that, right? So that's one thing you could do. The other thing you can do, you can see here, is look for paths in temp and app data, etc. The reason is those are writable paths. Those are globally writable. So those are the ones you're looking for. So really quickly, going through and looking for them. What am I looking for? Looking for things like this, right? You see PowerShell.exe, but the parent process ID is WinWord. It's not super normal for Microsoft Word to open PowerShell, right? So right there, that's suspicious. That's a problem, right? So there's playbook number 1. Go back to the home page. Go to network check, right? So this one, we'll go ahead and do this. And I'm doing them off here on purpose, and you'll see why. So I copied and pasted it exactly. And then let me scroll up. The reason I did that is because it does show, the results show my my IP address. So that's why, for OPSEC reasons. I don't know how often my IP gets changed, but not that I worry about you guys doing anything, but just letting you see. So you can see 127.0.0.1, and you got the ports and what's connecting to it, right? So very quickly, I was able to grab all of the connections on my machine and format them in a nice format for me. And then look for processes you don't recognize, right? If you have a process on your machine reaching out externally and you don't recognize it, a little weird, maybe you should be cautious of that, right? And then you can see here, example, suspicious output. It's, hey, this IP address is connecting on 4444. Everyone knows 4444 is Metasploit. Now, would you see that in a real environment? Probably not. It's probably blocked. But you see things like service host with the fake process, etc. That's pretty real. So then you keep going. Go to persistence check, right? We check the processes. Let's check the persistence. Now you can see here, this is actually 2 commands technically. So I give you credit. It's technically 2. So we'll run them separately. You can run them at the same time, but you run this here. And by the way, these might look complex. If you actually break down what the command's doing, most of it is actually really simple. A lot of it is just formatting. So like here, like all it is very simple, getting the child item, the environment variables, the startup programs, and then here is select object, full name, and last writable. That's all, our last write time, excuse me. All I'm saying there is that's all I want from them. So it's formatting it in a way that's nice for me. So here, I ran them as 2 different commands. You can see, whoops, as you scroll up, and this is not a admin PowerShell, so you see we get some things. So you have process path, here's the path, right? Delete cache, parent, child name, all that stuff. Those there, the first command right here, is based on this registry specifically, which is the run, right? So run on start, and then run once. So these are your auto starts. And then you can see here, here's the second one, right? Windows, that programs that are in the startup folder. And you can see I have 1, or 2, excuse me. I have Tailscale, and I have OneNote, right? So you can see that. All right, and you can see that is send to OneNote. So what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for things that point to the temp folder. Once again, globally writable, pretty bad, right? Hidden files, recent write times. So let me give you an example of one that would be suspicious besides the ones they show. But what if you know that, hey, these are the programs that should be starting on our machines. You should know that if you're in a SOC, because that's going to be your baseline, right? So these are the ones that start on startup, and you run it, and you see that a new one was created yesterday. Is there a new one created on every machine or just that one? And who created it? Because that'd be weird, right? You don't see many people creating startup programs on their machine besides admins and attackers, right? It's not normal that a person goes, you know what I'm going to do today on my work computer is I want this to run every time I start up, and I'm tech savvy enough to go ahead and do it, and it's going to bypass all of our security controls. That's not typically what you see. You typically see it's an admin doing it or an attacker. So right away, you probably have some red flags. You can see here, example of bad one, right? So if you look, and I have this blown up, so it normally would show more, but user writable paths, encoded PowerShells, that's what we're looking for here. You can see here, app data, roaming, that is a suspicious path, right? That's the user writable path. And you can see, look what's running. In the Adobe update, it's PowerShell, hidden, encoded payload. Pretty weird, right? Adobe update doesn't typically run a hidden PowerShell with an encoded payload. Maybe it does, I don't know, but I would say it probably doesn't, right? And then you can see all these are suspicious paths. So then you go over here, and what's next? We keep going. We go to scheduled tasks. So we're going to actually check for scheduled tasks now. So you have your persistence, which are startup programs, and then we have our scheduled tasks, which is another persistence technique. And we're going to go ahead and hit it. And you can see, if I scroll up here and bring it over, you can see I get a list of all the scheduled tasks. Now you could make this better, and I actually did make it better, but I took it out because it was extra commands, and I'm trying to keep it to 5 commands. But you can actually just remove all Microsoft ones pretty easily, and I can actually show that if you guys want, but I might add it in the final one just to give people the option. But you can just add a formatting that just removes the Microsoft commands, and when you do that, you'll actually get just what's starting that's not Microsoft, which is really nice because scheduled tasks that are Microsoft are normal. You'll get a ton of them. You can do 2 things. I've seen people that just do a compare. They have like their base image, and then they compare, and it gets rid of all the Microsoft ones anyway. Or you can just run a command that will filter out the Microsoft. It's up to you, either way. So what are we looking for? Once again, looking for app data, temp directories, same type of thing, right? The difference here, update check. So someone created an update check scheduled task. John did, right? And he's using, again, PowerShell encoded payload. Possible, not likely, right? You can see here, task to run, etc. You can see here, user John, again, Adobe helper. And this one, again, public folder. So we're looking again at some of the weird stuff, right? These are obviously all fake malicious, so keep that in mind. Non-Microsoft tasks. So you can see this one's Microsoft, non-Microsoft tasks, system context, encoded PowerShell. All of these things are weird. And you can see here, we had it labeled baseline, so this would be part of our baseline. So we'd know that's normal. All right. And then last, we do the hash check. So let's say you do find something suspicious, right? You can take this and you say, hey, let's find the path to suspicious exe, whatever it is, right? You found it. You run this. It'll give you the hash for it. And when you get the hash, guess what? You can actually just run this start process. It'll open a browser and search on VirusTotal for you the actual hash. Now, one thing that I will say is people live and die with VirusTotal. VirusTotal is not an end-all be-all. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It's a very good tool for a very quick check, though. So I do recommend you check it. Even if you don't live and die by it, it can tell you very quickly if something is malicious. It just misses things, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to tell you very quickly if it's malicious. So definitely check it. This is all preliminary, very quick stuff. And then you just document all of that. And those 5 commands, think about how an attack works, right? An attacker gets in, they have to take over a process or procedure, right? Or a task or something. They usually take over a process, almost always. The only reason I say usually is because if they already have an account, then theoretically, yes, they can just be logged in as that person and avoid like migrating into a task. But for C2 to work, they have to have some sort of task calling out. So what does that mean? What's the next check? If they, let's say they do log in, but they just need something to call out. They don't have that weird process that's running or whatever. Well, the network, right? It's got to beacon back. It's got to call out to a C2 server if they're going to control it. Otherwise, it's not really going to be that big, sophisticated of an attack if they're not going to be able to have multiple machines at once. So look for the network, right? Then persistence. What does an attacker always do? They've got to set persistence because if you kick them out, they want back in. So we check persistence. Scheduled task, also persistence. And then when we find it, how do we validate it? That's where the hashing comes in, right? And keep in mind, all of these are built specifically to live off the land. These are not built to go download tools, to go install anything, not even sysinternals, which I think sysinternals pretty much everybody should be using. But this isn't even using sysinternals. This is just commands that are on PowerShell natively and you can use right now. So to me, this is just an example, one example of a bunch where you can use the tools you have, regardless of what you have, to make it work for what you need. And that's what I love about cybersecurity. That's what I love about this profession. That's what I love about pen testing. That's exactly what this stuff is finding a solution to a problem. And in my opinion, there's zero excuse if you're a company or a single individual or whatever, and you're like, I can't get access to CrowdStrike. I can't get access to this. I can't get... Build it. And it doesn't have to be complex. Anyone that says, oh, I can't build CrowdStrike. I'm not saying build CrowdStrike. You know how the underlying technology works. Build something that makes it similar. It doesn't have to be CrowdStrike. This isn't going to detect what CrowdStrike can detect. It says right in it, it's not a replacement for EDR. But I can investigate like I can on CrowdStrike, at least get some context and at least start making decisions. You can be better off today or tomorrow than you are today. That's all the next step is. It's take that step. So let me know if you guys like these playbooks. If you guys want to see me build more of these things, again, check out the Patreon, check out the Discord. All that's in the link below or in the description below. But this is going to be in the Patreon for people to download, use, etc. I'm going to build more playbooks like these. I'm trying to build them very simple so that people aren't getting like overwhelmed. They're not like trying to read through 50 pages or anything. I want them to be simple, easy to use, and things like that. So hopefully this helps you guys. Hopefully you guys can see that forensics or incident response, not forensics, incident response can be done a lot simpler than simply going through every log ever. There's a lot of host incident response you can do. There's a lot of other contextual data you can get. There's all kinds of stuff. Finding a creative solution to the problem is the key. So hopefully this helps you guys, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, let me know what the 6th thing is. What's the next thing you guys would add? Because this would be a playbook I would keep building out, and I would just build out and out and out and out, and then it would have a checklist of tons of things that we could do, and then I would automate it next. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.